Tag and Brag Nation and Goose Chasers, what is up? How are we doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon? Because your boy didn't record this until Wednesday anyway. So literally, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, I just recorded it today. So thank you all for continuing to tune in. Episode number 90 of Goose Chasing. Pretty insane, pretty incredible. Grateful. I'm just grateful for all of you, especially the ones who listen to this consistently. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Dean and our business and our company and all that good stuff. It means a lot to, just continue this with consistency. I'm grateful, very, very grateful for that. And I've got a little whistle in my ear right now, or a little humming. Hopefully that is not showing up in your audio recording. But, that's just how it is sometimes. Sometimes it sounds good, sometimes it sounds not so good. Today, I am sipping on some iced coffee. Today, I am sipping on some freaking iced coffee, and that feels good. Up here at camp, it's about 80-something degrees outside before noon. We are June 4th, and that is, it's about dang time, ladies and gentlemen. It's about dang time that we flip the page to summer, or more of a spring feel, or not wearing like hoodies, jackets, and all the whole 9 yards, because it is summertime, okay? So we should be into summer clothes. Shorts, t-shirt, no shirt, tarps off, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I don't really care. But I'm just saying, it's about damn time we got the warmth, and I'm sipping on this beautiful iced coffee right now. So I was kind of struggling with what I wanted to talk about today. You got me solo right now. Dino's working at the Hogan's Hut. Mad respect. It's busy season. It's busy season over there at the hut. The lake is wide open right now, and especially with this beautiful weather today, I can only imagine what it's like being out on the open water on a boat with your friends, maybe doing a little fishing. I don't know. But you got me solo today. I was kind of struggling on what to talk about, what to, spit into the camera today. But I was having a conversation yesterday with my good buddy Tom from XOP, and we went down a pretty big rabbit hole. It should have been a podcast in itself, to be completely honest with you. And honestly, that's how this Goose Chasing podcast started. Dean and I we would always have these conversations, and it was like, I'm living in Nashville, he's in Ohio, we're back and forth in the car, talking business, talking strategy, talking growth, talking life, talking all those things. And we're like, why don't we just start recording some of this stuff and putting it out there? Well, that's what yesterday's conversation was with Tommy Boy and myself. And it was a cool conversation. I'm not going to try and replay it per se, but I do want to talk a little bit about it, because we just had the opportunity we had literally 3 truckloads of brand new food plot equipment shipped into Camp Cutlet. Just started Food Plot Chronicles. It was an enormous privilege to be able to be in that position where you have companies that trust you with their, this isn't like apparel, or this isn't like, some of the smaller ticket, and no disrespect to any of the smaller ticket hunting items, but these are like tens of thousands of dollars worth of big machinery and food plot equipment that, to be honest with you, as a young boy, I don't know that I ever really thought that I would be able to, or have the opportunity to, operate something like that. And definitely not up here on our land in Western New York. And I'm gonna go on a journey with you here today because I can already see where this is going. So just bear with me, okay? But getting back to it, we've got 3 truckloads of stuff, and I'm not trying to boast ourselves by any means. That was the reality of the situation. There was 3 truckloads of food plot equipment that got dropped off here at Camp Cutlet, and we got the opportunity to not only learn how to use them, but actually use them on our own land that we've accumulated over the years. That started as a little 40-acre chunk right across the street from me right here, and has grown into over 220 acres of what I think to be pretty pristine whitetail and turkey habitat. Really pretty pristine habitat for any and all of the animals that get to live it. We just pursue and chase turkey and deer here, so that's why I say that. But it's cool to look back, and I don't know that we do this nearly as often as we should in any and all aspects of our life, but for this one specifically, Dean and I were students of outdoor television since we were very young. We saw at a young age these guys putting in food plots or planting different things or just keeping crops for the deer and having like farms and areas and places to hunt whitetail that we at the time only dreamed about. And for whatever reason, we were so infatuated by where we grew up hunting and our roots up here in Western New York that we wanted to change that here. We wanted to be able to, create something like that, something of like what we saw on TV here in New York, which predominantly is one of the bottom 5 states to hunt whitetails in the country year after year. But when you look around at the walls now here at Camp Cutlet, that is drastically changed, at least in our world, and I'm super, super grateful for that. But when I think about where we started in like the quote unquote land management food plot game and where that actually began, it literally began with a 4-wheeler and like a 48-inch tow behind cutting deck. And Dean and I would literally we would mow any and all opened land that we had to create a field, so to speak, and call it a food plot. And then we started, I think we mentioned this on a podcast in the last couple weeks, but after that, we got like the throw and grow seed, and we would literally do donuts in the 4-wheeler in the same areas that we were cutting and turn up some dirt and throw some seed down and act like that was a food plot. To fast forward, the last couple days, having these 3 truckloads. I mean, we got a brand new 40-horse Coyote tractor. We've got a 73-horse Coyote tractor. We've got 2 different P&H drills, a 3-foot and a 5-foot no-till drills. We've got a massive 2-row no-till corn planter. We had grapplers. We had winches. We had a brand new Coyote diesel UTV that could pull the 3-foot P&H drill. We had fertilizer broadcaster. I mean, like I said, there was 3 truckloads of equipment that rolled up here to Camp Cutlet, all to document and get video on like the Food Plot Chronicles process that we have created. And I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, I guess, but it kind of is, because when you look back, and once again, like, I'm trying to relate this to anybody who has like a dream of doing this, or anybody that has aspirations of improving their land. It doesn't even have to be in the hunting world. Just like take this high level as to starting somewhere that was very, very small and then growing something to to something that was unimaginable at that time. And that's kind of where we're at over the course of like a 10-year span or so. And it was just cool to be able to, once again, have people that have faith and trust in you based on what you've created and what you're creating over time, to allow us to utilize this equipment at our fingertips. Now, we haven't bought any of this equipment yet. We haven't, none of this equipment is ours. It was just here for demo purposes. It was here to show us, to educate us on the equipment, also for us to be able to educate you guys on the equipment, because all of this stuff is for like that quote unquote smaller landowner, whatever, 40, 50 to a couple hundred to 500 acres or so landowner that wants to create the land management strategies in order to, have a better deer and turkey herd and population on their property. So all of this stuff is right at your fingertips as it is ours. All this stuff not only can be bought by Ackerman Power Equipment, but it can also be rented by them as well. And they deliver this stuff all over the country, which is pretty cool. The cool part about them, and the reason, well, a couple things, but we got to product test and demo multiple different brands worth of farm equipment in the mix, number one. Number two, all this equipment is state-of-the-art, unbelievable, makes you far more efficient than we have ever been. And number three is the people that trusted in us, that came out to us, that allowed us to do all this. The people, number one, educate you beyond belief, make you feel comfortable on equipment that you've never even utilized before. The people and the support that they have is the reason why we even open the doors to working with them regardless, and having them come in. It's the people that you meet along the way and the relationships that you can build that mean the most to us. Obviously, this was a great opportunity. It allowed us to be super efficient in planting our food plots. It also allowed us to be able to show y'all how to be super efficient in planting your food plots, because no matter what, the equipment is obviously expensive, not only to buy, but it could be expensive to rent depending on what your budget is. But ultimately, it's being penny wise and dollar foolish. If you rent some of this stuff, bare minimum, you're saving on fuel, you're saving on time, you're being 3 to 4 times more efficient than you would any other way. So it was really cool. I'm really excited to be able to share all this stuff on Food Plot Chronicles in the coming weeks. I'm really excited to see what the results of some of this stuff is compared to years past. And we're going to be documenting this all throughout the way, so you guys are going to be able to come right along with this journey with us. Now, that being said, the conversation that I was having with Tom yesterday was interesting because, we've drawn up at least in our couple hundred acres, we've kind of drawn up the quote unquote perfect scenario, if you will, given the acreage that we have, given the layout and the land management strategies. Once again, if you look around at the walls here in Camp Cutlet, have proven to work. But, and I'm not ungrateful for any of it at all, but there's a little boy in me, the 12 and 13-year-old boy, that also walked and hunted this same land here with a lot less, I don't know if I want to call it knowledge, but with a lot less expectations, for sure, would be one. With a lot less insight, with a lot less planning, and a lot more unknown of what's out there. And that boy in me has been screaming lately. Lately, I mean the last couple of years. And I love manipulating the land. I love being able to give back to the land that has given so much to us. That I love to do. The hard work, the summer, the dog days of summer hours when it's hot, when you're on the tractor and you're burning fuel and you're working the ground and all that stuff. I absolutely love all of that. What I've realized in myself over the last handful of years is what drove me to hunting initially, and what really fueled my passion personally, is a lot of the unknown that hunting provided back in the day, especially when I was a lot younger. There wasn't trail cameras. We didn't know all the quote unquote know all the deer. The deer didn't have names and pasts and age classes and score classes and anything like that. It was just an unknown adventure that I would literally sit at my desk in school and think about all day long until I was able to get back in the truck with my dad or Uncle Jay or whatever and come back up here the following week, that next weekend, and be able to experience it again. And it was that unknown part of hunting that made me obsessed. That literally drove me nuts, as I said, throughout the school days, and daydreaming and thinking, and where do I want to go, and where is he going to be at, or where am I going to see, something better than I saw last weekend. And I think, not necessarily taking away the big deer out of it, because that was certainly cool still. It was always cool to be able to see something a little bit bigger than you did the weekend before or the year before. Have an opportunity at something that was a little bit bigger than you had in the past. So the drive to get better as a hunter and to shoot bigger and better things as a hunter was absolutely still there. But you didn't really know everything. And to some degree now, the unknown portion of the hunt, or the unknown portion of what you're chasing, is not really there in the whitetail world. I mean, let's be honest. Trail cameras are awesome. They're awesome. And we literally have our Moultries running 24/7, 365. I wake up, one of the first things that I do is open my Moultrie app and see what's been cruising around that night, or what's been cruising around in the last couple hours. And especially once we get closer to the season and the deer start, fully forming their racks, and they're starting to express their true potential for the year, that obsession just grows more and more, because you're always there. You're always in the game. And there's something to be said for that. That's awesome. It really is. And I'm not taking anything away from trail cameras at all, but what everybody having trail cameras has done is allowed us to know truly what's out there. And it's taken the unknown portion of what's out there, or it's diminished that quite a bit. And I don't know, there's just a part of me, there's the little boy in me that, just started hunting, that's just curious about what's out there and where it's at and how I can get close to it and all of that stuff, that wants a little portion of that unknown factor back. Like, do I want to go into the woods knowing exactly what deer I'm going after? Sometimes I do. Yeah, sometimes I do. But there's another part of me that's like, I kind of want to just go in there and have to make a decision in the moment based on what I see or what I'm observing or the encounter that I'm having and ride on that. And I think to some degree, for all of us as hunters, there's like that, the known factor of what's there. And especially I felt this way on trips in the past where you kind of know what's there. You see what's there. It fuels the fire even more, which is a good thing. You know, it motivates you even more because, like, you're infatuated by a certain deer, a certain couple deer, and you wanna figure them out and you want to get close to them in order for an opportunity. But then if you're not successful in that hunt, you leave that trip feeling almost demoralized or feeling like less of a hunter or less of a human being, so to speak, because you left what was known out there. And that, to me, number one, that's hindered my experience multiple different times. And I'm grateful to be able to travel the country and hunt like we do now. And I'm grateful to be able to experience other places and other states and other whitetails and how they roam and how the people hunt them. And it's every state you go to is different. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate, the little towns and the people that are in them and just the places that you get to see and experience during the hunt itself. But leaving a hunt, not being able to value anything based on your lack of tags filled or your lack of killing, to me, is diminishing the purpose of the hunt. Because no matter what, there's always something to be taken from every hunt. And you could say that's cliche, you could say that's moral victories or whatever, but if you can't dig deep and understand that, then you are missing a little part of it. I hate to say it. You're missing a little part of it, because whether it helps you for the next round, whether you can be grateful for the people that you met or relationships that you've built along the way, whether you can just be grateful for seeing a new part of the country and being able to experience the animals in that part of the country and knowing and understanding what goes on there better to now take it back to your home state and be better. Those are all wins in the process. Those are all wins in the privilege to hunt. But I do think that that we know so much now, that we put so much pressure on ourselves now for that end goal, for that Instagram post, for that tag filled, and we see all these other people doing it, and the world is so connected now that it matters so much to us that we lose sight of the little things and the little importances and the little learnings and all of that stuff that go along with the hunt that you got to go on regardless. So I revert back to the little boy in me that is thriving for the unknown. And not that pushes me away from this place here at all, because I will always be grateful for the homeland and growing it into what we've grown it into. We are literally living out a dream come true. We are. And honestly, we have you all to thank for that, because you guys have given us the opportunity to do that by tuning into this on a week-to-week basis, by watching our vlogs on a week-to-week basis, by interacting with our content online. That's allowed us to propel and snowball, viewership and eyeballs and stuff to be able to create a career out of what we love to do. For that, I'm forever grateful. Can't say thank you enough. And this Camp Cutlet is what fueled that for me. Camp Cutlet is what has created that for me and for us. But there's more for me. Like, we're living out this dream. I also have dreams of going out west and bow hunting an elk. I also have dreams of spot and stalking a mule deer, whether that's in the mountains or in the sandhills of Nebraska or I have different curiosities and goals that I want to accomplish in my hunting world that have all sparked from this, that all have significant unknowns for me right now. And that's important to me. It just is. Like, it's like a two-way street. You've got to be grateful for what you've had, where you've come from, and what you've accomplished. And this, once again, goes back to anything in life. But also, you've got to have a drive for what's ahead of you. And there's got to be a balance in both. You've got to be able to look back and go, damn, and give yourself grace and be like, holy shit. Like, the 10-year-old or for me, the 20-year-old or the 25-year-old version of me would look at me right now and be like, dude, you made it. You made it. And not just in the hunting world, in life and in the pursuit of what's around me, Camp Cutlet, the land that we've created, the hunting world that we've created around us. Like, dude, you've made it. You not only have an insane home base to set up shop in and hunt pretty much like world-class land in Western New York, but you get to travel the country and experience different places and different things and different people. All the while you're doing what you love to do. Like, you made it. Recognize that. And all you guys out there, no matter where you're at in your journey, there was a part of you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that would look at yourself right now and be like, you made it. You did it. What you were thinking about then, you did now. Or you did over time, and now you're here now. So I think we got to absolutely give ourselves grace for that. But I also do know and believe that it's very important to have a drive and something to strive for in the future. And part of that for me is taking away some of the known or some of the blueprint, if you will, of the hunt and stripping that back to a blank piece of paper and enjoying that hunt, enjoying that for whatever it's worth. Because also I've gone to new states and I've done this long enough to know and understand that you don't just jump into a new blank sheet of paper in the hunting world and the expectations are, oh, I'm going to go out there and kill the biggest buck in a couple days, or I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go like right off the rip. No, it's a process. And if it's not a process, then it doesn't have nearly as much meaning. If it's not a journey, if it's not something that you've got to cut your teeth in, that you've got to work towards, then it's not truly as meaningful as it would be if you had to get a little dirty and shed a couple of tears and bust your ass a little bit in order to get to that certain spot. I mean, look at our North Dakota experience, for example. The first 2 years Dean and I were out there, we had land upon land upon land at our fingertips. More land in North Dakota than we've ever had access to hunt in New York, Ohio, combined. And we couldn't figure it out. Whether it was the time of year, the terrain, the vast openness, the fact that we were just infatuated with being out of state. I don't know what it was, but we couldn't figure it out the first couple years. And as good of deer hunters as we felt like we were put into a completely new blank piece of paper, and it humbled us. But when we got to that third year and both of us connected in the same trip, and we had to do that it took us 3 years to get to that point, I would have never traded a single minute of the grind, the hardships, the hustle, the hard work, whatever it took to get there. In that moment of success, I would have never traded any of that for earlier success. I would have never traded any of it. And just the same thing, Kansas. Kansas is a place that is so opportunistic for whitetail, it's unbelievable. But guess what? For the first 2 years that we've gone there, we've had opportunities. We've seen a shit ton of deer. We've literally experienced something that we've only dreamed about in going to hunt Kansas and watching, the Waddells of the world and the Nick Munns of the world back in the day, just in a whitetail paradise that we couldn't even fathom. And then we get to go experience that firsthand. And you know what God said? It doesn't matter if this is the whitetail Mecca, the whitetail Jurassic Park, the paradise beyond paradises of your hunting world, and you come in here and you can soak in seeing all these deer and having encounters with massive deer and going out there to shed hunt and find on all these, hundreds of sheds and all that stuff. But you're still a hunter. It's still a chase. It ain't shopping. And I'm still going to humble you. And he has. Because in 2 years and 3 different tags between Dean and I, we're still sitting here today, never having put a tag on a Kansas buck. And now Dean and Uncle Jay drew again this year, and they get to go out and try and do it again for year 3. And guess what? I bet you we may have some success this year. We're learning the game a little bit better. We're getting more in tune with how the deer are out there and how they move. Just because there's a lot more deer out there and a lot better quality deer out there doesn't mean they're any easier to kill. You still got to get close enough in bow range. You still got to be able to make the shot. It's all part of it. So, and I can guarantee you, whether that success comes this year or whether it comes next year or whenever that success comes in Kansas, because it's going to come. It's going to come. All of the hardships, all of the harder times, all the times that we've gotten our teeth kicked in while we were there are going to be well worth and are going to make that moment of success way better than if we went there the first year and filled the tag. It's just the reality of the situation. And the coolest part about all of this is we've documented it all, and it's kind of like a never-ending story. And that's what means the most to us at the end of the day. I was just down helping instruct Film the Hunt's 4-day production course this past weekend. And it was a humbling experience for me. The students that come in here are hungry to learn their equipment. They're hungry to learn about the outdoor industry. They're hungry to learn how they can get involved, if they can make this a career, and all the whole 9 yards. And so I'm the guest speaker there on Saturday. Literally had the whole morning to speak, 8 till noon, on our journey and on how we got in to the hunting world and how we've used like the digital platforms to build a career. And one of the coolest things that I brought up in the class, and I wasn't even planning on like this, it just kind of happened organically. But I had our media kit up on the board or up on my slideshow, and I'm kind of going through our media kit just to show everyone kind of how to sell yourself in this world. and what the value propositions are, being able to show and sustain growth, being able to show consistency, in the content that you produce. And when I look back in 2023, I hunted 5 different states. And 5 different states: Kansas, Ohio, Tennessee, New York, North Dakota. Some of them multiple times. And I didn't fill a buck tag. But our viewership went up during that year, because for the past 8 years, and for the first 5 of those 8 years, 5 or 6 of those 8 years, our viewership doubled. So it went from 500,000 to 1 million. It went from 1 million to 2 million. It went from 2 million to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. Like, it doubled in the first 5 to 6 years that we started recording our analytics so that we could sell ourselves to other companies. And in 2023, I didn't kill a buck, bow or gun, during the season. That's 2 years ago. We're only 2 years out from that. I'm doing this for a living. This is my livelihood. I'm doing it for a living. I didn't kill a buck. I didn't fill a buck tag that entire season. And I showed everybody this. Look at our 2022 numbers and look at 2023. And the numbers went up by like 7 or 8 million. Just because we have the courage to document the process no matter what. Just because, going back to it, if you can't get something out of the hunt regardless, then why are you doing it? And I'm not going to sit here and say that there wasn't times during that season where I wasn't disappointed, that there wasn't times during that season that I wasn't deflated, that I didn't feel inadequate for not filling a tag when I'm going to all of these different states and hunting for a living and documenting and creating content and not filling a tag. There was a large part of me that was feeling inadequate after that season. But then I started to go through our viewership. And that was a little bit of an aha moment for me, because now I'm like, we've got the power to do anything that we want to do. We're not relying on killing big deer. It's a goal of ours, but we're not relying on it. And number one, we can't control the animals. That's controlling Mother Nature. That's something that's out of our control. No matter what we do, at the end of the day, you can't control the animals. You could bust your ass 100 plus days throughout the season. Whatever. Daylight to dark sits. That doesn't guarantee you anything. It gives you a better chance, but it doesn't guarantee you anything, because you can't control the animals. You can't control the weather. So sometimes, and I've done this before, like during trips, I get so butthurt about not killing a deer. I get so butthurt about not filling a tag. I feel inadequate from that. But when you sit back and actually think about that, and think about why you're feeling that way and what you're feeling that way about, and the fact of the matter is, you don't have control over the outcome that you were looking for. You don't have control over it. You have control over over the effort that you put in for that outcome. Absolutely. You have control over the attitude that you go into each hunt with, and that you go into that work and that grind of trying to get to that outcome. Absolutely. You have control over the positivity and all of that. Your mindset, your attitude towards it. You have control over all that. But you don't have control over that animal. You just don't. You don't have control over that animal. So at the end of the day, we are putting a large emphasis on something that we don't have control over. I don't know. I guess you could be the decipher of some of that. But when I realized that for myself, I'm like, why am I getting so butthurt over this? Why is my attitude and my view of this hunt so skewed because I didn't achieve something that at the end of the day that I don't have control over? Can I look myself in the mirror and say, I gave it all I had. I gave it everything I had. I went into it with a good attitude. I documented the whole damn thing so that win, lose, or draw, somebody else can see this and apply it to their hunt or their world or their life in general. I did all those things. Those are all in my control. So why am I getting so hurt about something that I don't have control over? And that's where I think we want that outcome so bad. So we try and blueprint the hunt to the fullest. We try and oh yeah, I'm going to North Dakota early season. Man, I'm going to kill in the first 3 or 4 days of the season. We're going to be able to enjoy the rest of the trip after that. I'm going to come back to Ohio. I'm going to try and get it done early in Ohio so that I can now spend the latter part of October and November in New York and just grind away. And because that's when Uncle Jay comes up here. That's when my dad comes up here. That's when the guys are all up here and hunt camp. And so I can actually enjoy the hunt at that point. But before that, I'm going to try and blueprint it. And then we're going to kill, 2 to 3 or 4 bucks during that rut week time or during when we're all in camp together and have them all hanging on the skin and pole, and we're going to be able to enjoy all that. And then late season, maybe I'll go to Kansas again and I'll try and get it done in Kansas, and that'll give me some late season. Or if I don't get it done in Ohio, but I have a couple cool encounters early, well, I got the later part of the season because Ohio goes late, and I can try and kill one then. And at the end of the season, I'll be sitting there with 4 or 5 bucks under my belt, and I'll be feeling good and accomplished and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, you're kind of messing with God's will in all of that. You're trying to script nature. You're trying to script what God already has scripted for you. And more oftentimes than not, I've done that in my seasons. I end up with a season like I did in 2023, where I'm at the end of it going, man, I had that scripted way different back in August when we started the season. And I'm sitting here and my pockets are stuffed with tags because I haven't filled one yet. But when I look back at the season, I tried to script the whole dang thing perfectly because of what I do, because of my livelihood, because I think that is actually making me a better or different or more adequate human being, when in reality, I just documented the whole process, didn't shoot a deer, our numbers grew, our business grew. And isn't that ultimately what I have control over anyway? So was it a successful season actually? I'm mine effing myself right now. But really, and so that's where, I love to kind of take this full circle a little bit better. That's where I love to be able to give back to the land here at Camp Cutlet. And I love to be able to plant food plots and give back to the deer and allow them more food and more cover and better habitat for them to live and, to some degree pass certain animals so that they can live a year longer, a couple years longer, and get down the road to their full potential. I like doing that. But I have to be careful at blueprinting that too much to where that little boy in me that wants the unknown, that craves that unknown, gets overshadowed. Because I've got to be able to bring him out in order to keep this fuel going for myself, in order to keep this fuel going for other hunters, I feel like, because I'm not the only one that feels this way. There's no way. I can tell you what, Tom from XOP feels that way because I talked to him about it yesterday. And it fueled my fire for this conversation, quite honestly. So I don't know. I don't know what you can take out of this. I'm taking out of it a lot because I know that I love this place. I know that I'm grateful for what we've built here. And when I look back at the man in me 10, 15 years ago, he would be proud of where we're at right now. But I also know that I got to unbury that little boy in me that wants the unknown, that wants something new, that wants to explore a land that he's never seen before, that wants to go uncharted a little bit and hunt species that he never thought he would have the opportunity to hunt before. And that little boy in me, I've promised to bring out over the coming seasons. So I can look in the camera right now and promise you all that you'll not only be able to see me enjoy what we've built here at Camp Cutlet, but you're going to be able to see me enjoy what fuels me and what has fueled me from the beginning. And I'm grateful for it all. I'm grateful for you all continuing to come along this journey with us as we learn more about the hunt, as we learn more about the chase, as we learn more about ourselves. Case in point. So thank you, Tag and Brag Nation and Goose Chasers. On this 90th episode, I appreciate you all very, very much. I'm extremely grateful for you. I'm fully indebted to you. And I cannot wait to see where this journey continues to take us all together. So, with that, I'll send you off. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to follow along with all of these journeys right alongside us. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we will see you all right back here next Wednesday on another episode of Goose Chasing. Love y'all. Peace.